Hello and welcome to the Popcorn Club. This week we went to see Godzilla. Rah!
Godzilla is big monster. Yeah, that.
Ah! There were other monsters though as well.
I feel like you're doing a good enough job of a synopsis yourself. First hour of the film is all one
It's all about the characters.
estranged
isn't it?
big family drama, which
That bit for me was really good. I really enjoyed the first hour. I thought it was strongly played by the cast, and I was starting to feel really invested in where they were going. I suppose this is the bit that Russ and I had a bit of an argument about last night as we came out of the cinema, because I feel like that first hour set up the potential for something really great, in terms of character payoff and development and, you know, emotional depth to a monster movie, which can be very popcorn light entertainment fare. And I feel like it didn't quite deliver to my expectations, and my expectations came out of how good that first hour was. So that left me feeling at the end of the film a little disappointed, and if I had to criticise the film for anything, that's my real main criticism. That being said, I thoroughly enjoyed the film. Don't get me wrong, it is a good movie to go and see. It's a good monster movie. It's serious in tone. It's not a stupid cheesy film, but I just think, you know, with the calibre of cast you've got there, who I've seen do brilliant work in lots of other stuff, I just thought they could have done more with what they'd set up in the first hour, and it was a shame because the second and third acts, as it were, had lots of good stuff about it as well. The monsters were great, really, you know, atmospheric shooting, cinematography, all that stuff. But I really just wanted all the character and the story got lost for me completely, and that disappointed me.
well, I mean, I
Made
wouldn't
me sad face.
I wouldn't go quite to that degree. I think the first hour of the film, and it's only Gareth Edwards. It's only his second film, but even with, you haven't seen Monsters, have you?
I have not seen Monsters.
The two are quite similar in tone, especially at the beginning of the first hour of Godzilla versus Monsters, where Monsters was taking place against the backdrop of some sort of post-alien invasion world with Quarantine Zone 10, 15 years on. And it was very much the character was at the fore.
I don't know why I'm nodding. I've not seen it.
And
Yes.
the monster was at the background. And a lot of those elements are at play during, as I say, at the beginning of Godzilla. The whole setup, to me at least, was, and when you by the time the first hour of the film's over and you're just left with Aaron Johnson, he is at that point the audience surrogate. You watched him go through. His life has been almost defined by what turns out to be Godzilla and these monsters without him knowing it. It killed his mother. It's killed his father.
It's not. So, yeah, okay, yeah, you're right, and that should have been the way it played out, but it didn't, because it was never referred to. Aaron Taylor Johnson doesn't really speak for like the last half of the film. There's no real.
No, but at that point he's our way in to watching the monsters at play.
They could have carried that on better and made more of it. They didn't. It got lost in favour of showcasing the great work they'd done on the monsters and the fight and all of that stuff, which again was not bad stuff. I just felt that they could have done more, and that Aaron Taylor Johnson was capable of doing more. For example,
well, I mean, I certainly had issues with some of the characters, but I think Aaron Taylor Johnson was way down that list. A bit heart-wrenching when they actually got rid of Bryan Cranston.
No, it wasn't.
I didn't see that really coming. Not.
That should have been.
I don't mean it happened. It happened very matter-of-factly. I don't think,
that for me is an example of what I'm talking about. That scene for me where Bryan Cranston you find out that he's died, that should have been like the pivotal like shift in mindset for Aaron Taylor Johnson's character. I wish I could remember his name. Ford, that's it. The character's name is Ford. His character to take him through the next act, because that, you know, he was emotionally, in the first half of the film, the whole point was he was emotionally detached from the whole incident that killed his mother. It was his dad that was on with it. This killing of his dad as well I feel like more should have been made of that scene. It was almost like, oh whoops, Bryan Cranston died, body bag, and like and then Aaron Taylor Johnson was just trying to get back to San Francisco for no other reason than he travelled to Japan, so he needed to go back home. My dad's died, oh shit, it's the same reason that my mum's died, this is my real motivation to carry me through and help everyone out in the rest of the film. There was none of that. And it would have been quite easy to do. I don't have
a problem with them winding up his role that abruptly, because he'd spent the last 15 years in between, when we cut away, searching and trying to prove all along that he was right, and to prove that to himself and to his son, and to get him back. And he'd achieved that by that point.
I feel like we've just gone on about what's wrong with it, because I think that does it a disservice, because it is a really good film. I thought the cinematography, or the way some of the shots were set up, were really, really nice. Like it just was always seemed to be from the perspective of the people, like running around.
That was the point, and not only the people, a lot of time through Aaron Taylor Johnson's eyes, that was where the first hour of the film took you to the point where, when you're now looking at it through his eyes, you're sort of seeing it with all the emotional weight of essentially his entire life is invested through those eyes, looking at these creatures fight, and you feel that.
And some of the actual scenes were really beautiful, like I particularly like the one where the parachuting one, where they all parachute in to try and...
The halo jump
lovely.
through.
That was so good. There was one, I just remember one bit where it was almost like a painting, where there was kind of this San Francisco...
That was in the trailer, they're coming through the clouds.
Yeah, I haven't seen the trailer. So that bit where they're coming through the clouds, and there's all the clouds, and it was just beautiful. Like, I would quite happily have that as a painting on my wall. Like, it was really, all the colours were lovely. And there were lots of scenes like that.
Well, I think
the bit where the monsters were coming through the clouds.
Well, and it was
the fog.
There was the whole.
Smoke.
You don't even really see Godzilla for the first hour, and then for the next half hour, 40 minutes after that, you're only seeing him in fits and starts. It's through the TV news footage. It's through in that shot you were talking about, when the halo jumped parachuting down. You just briefly see him between the clouds, but through the visor.
Really good.
This film manages to take 2 or 3 CGI monsters, stick them in a big cityscape, and let them go at it, and you feel fully invested in it. I felt more so than any other quite monster film, or heavily CG'd film I've seen in God knows how long.
Do you know what? I didn't, for something that was obviously heavily CG'd, I didn't feel that it was CGI I was watching.
I think it kind of helps a little bit that Godzilla does look a little bit like a man in a suit. But which is how they used to do it.
Also, on Godzilla and how he looks, can I just point out, my main thing about Godzilla was that his roar is basically an angry elephant, which just made me laugh a little bit every time that he did his... And to prove it, I've looked up a YouTube video of an actual elephant, and I don't know if you
have the link to that in the show notes at the bottom.
I can give you a link to the actual video, but this is...
Oh God, don't do that, because it's just blow out the mic.
That...
I haven't set the levels. I haven't set the levels of the mic for you to be putting elephants roaring right up against it.
Add a layer of anger over that. That's Godzilla. Also, the other thing about Godzilla that I don't slightly irked me was about 3/4 of the way through the film, where he's slightly losing the battle against, the horrible, what are they, arachno horrible things. He suddenly, out of nowhere, secret blue fire. Why didn't he just use that in the first place? Why? It the film could have been at least an hour shorter if he just blew fired all over the place. And I like the bit at the end, although the bit at the end was a bit cheesy, but I know that's kind of true to the legend of Godzilla, where they're like, is he the saviour of the city? And he sort of walks off
into the water.
Like, almost, I wouldn't have been surprised if he'd just gone, see ya, and saluted. My work here is done. And actually, the other bugbear that I had with the design of Godzilla as a monster, as his physical being, he's, you know, pretty much similar to kind of a T-Rexy style physique. Like, he's got this massive body, this huge tail, these tiny little arms, and like quite sort of stumpy legs, although they're quite big. How come he can swim so fast? What's that about? Like, I can't see how any of his physical being is designed to enable him to swim as fast as we saw him swim.
Have you Googled it yet?
No.
You should do that.
Why?
I don't know. But I'm sure that someone has an answer out there. But what that did enable them to do is to spend a lot of the time in the film, when he was swimming, you could just see his little spiky fins floating above the water, which was not too dissimilar to... Yeah. What is happening?
It's Jaws. Yeah, there was a lot of Spielbergy type references, particularly Jurassic Park. We sort of
the fact that you don't really see him for the first hour of the film and all you see is glimpses is very Jaws. The Mutos themselves, and as the destruction is raining around, is a bit War of the Worlds. And,
I not thought about that actually. Yeah,
then kind of everything else is a bit Jurassic Park.
So overall, it did disappoint me. I did leave feeling that I thought that was going to be a little bit better. That doesn't take away from the fact that overall,
are you trying to suggest that you had somewhat high expectations for a Godzilla movie?
No, I had no expectations when I went in. But the point I made at the beginning was that the first hour was so good and strong on character development that was what gave me it gave me high expectations from itself, and that's why I was upset that it didn't come through. Having said that, overall, it's still a great film. Loved it, and strong for its genre, like absolutely. And so I am giving it 8 popcorns if it had managed to push that character stuff through more strongly in the second half, which I feel like it was more than capable of doing. It would have easily been 9. But yeah, had to give it 8, but a strong 8, a good strong 8, like Godzilla.
That's interesting.
His little arms.
I agree that I think the last hour isn't as strong as the first, but I think that's the way that a Godzilla film ends up having to go. You end up focusing on more of the monster and less on the people. So I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think I'd give it a 9. I would.
I'd give it. I would. For 9.
I am. I'm going to go for a 9.
Good.
I enjoyed it.
I hope you enjoyed the video. Let us know what you thought about the movie. Do you agree with me, or are you more on Russ, or did you just hate it?
Well, neither of us.
Yeah.
We're in a sort of fairly small band
between
the 8s and the 9s.
We've argued quite a lot.
If you don't agree,
we've almost agreed violently.
if you're 7 and below, then we don't want to hear from you.
No. Let us know if you completely disagree as well. If you like this video and you want to see more from us, subscribe to our channel, like the video, leave us a comment. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and all those links are down below in the description box. And we'll see you next time. Bye.